right, let's go even deeper into the race for the White House. Republican strategist Matt Klink and Democratic strategist Reyahd Kazmi, thank you both for being here. Let's make sure that we get as many points in as we can. So in terms of Vice President Harris wanting to keep momentum from what a lot of people said was her win, even though a lot of people could say this wasn't a true debate, do you think that her campaign is sailing on the winds of momentum, or is it just a thirst to have anybody but the former president back in the White House?
I think you're coming to me, Adrienne.
I am, Reyahd.
It's all good. Good seeing you again. Good seeing you, Matt. What I would say is I really do think people, just like Neil said, are very interested in hearing what she has to talk about. But I will say that this momentum is coming through. And the reason why I say it's coming through is, unlike some presidential campaigns, I'm not talking about the Trump one, but just in past years, there's been a focus on big cities. And what's been so good about this campaign is Vice President Harris is not taking any city or county or rural part of America for granted. If you're looking at these battleground states, you just talked about Pennsylvania. By far, she has spent the most amount of time in this state. But what's really interesting is she's going to the parts of the state that consistently have been conservative. She spent some time out in Wilkes-Barre and Eau Claire, some of the suburban counties and cities of Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania, so that people get to know who she is, and so people get the chance to hear directly from her, not from anyone else, directly from her. And if you look at Governor Walz up in Wisconsin, talking about what she'll do for hardworking Americans. She talked about her tax cut, right, that will come for over 100 million people throughout the country, as well as helping small businesses and even farmers. And so I think her opportunity economy, it's called the opportunity economy message, is starting to break through. And I think that that momentum is going to continue on.
I think you articulated it a lot better than the vice president did, with all due respect. At the same time, I think opportunity economy is a bit of a vague term. And her sidestepping that first question out the gate, are Americans better off? Since President Biden was elected to the White House, was completely ignored. Matt, I want to take it to you. What do you think in terms of clarity for either campaign with those bread and butter issues that Americans are thinking about every single day? Who wins here?
Well, look, Adrienne, right now, it's undeniable that the Americans were better economically when Donald Trump was president. The challenge that Kamala Harris has is that she may be able to perform well and spout a few prepared lines, but nobody knows what the heck she really means by any of it, other than it involves massive giveaways of tax dollars to certain favored groups. So if that's what Kamala Harris means by an opportunity economy, that's not going to help gasoline prices that are high. That's not going to make the milk you buy at the store cost less or the bread you cost less. And the fact is that Americans are getting killed by inflation that's almost at 20% under the Biden and Harris administration. They know that they are not better off. And that's why Kamala Harris's efforts have fallen flat and why she's not been able to gain momentum. In fact, she's lost ground in Pennsylvania since the debate.
In terms, Reyahd, of this, there may be another debate, but former President Trump is right now, I think, saying, no, I'm not going to do it. Will we have a sit down, do you think, as an alternative, where she'll actually go a bit deeper and get away from the prepared statements that we've heard time and time again?
I think that Vice President Harris is more prepared than anybody running for president. That's just not including Donald Trump, the former president, or any of the other third-party candidates. She's more prepared than all of them combined, and she's way more fit. And the reason I say that is she will sit down with anyone. She's asking for a second debate because she clearly communicated and showed not only what she intends to do as president, which obviously you do have to have a Congress that's there to support you. That's why she's just not only advocating for herself, but Democrats up and down the ticket. She's willing to sit down with any interviewer that wants to sit down with her. Obviously, the campaign is busy, and you want to be able to speak to people in their homes, in their communities, in small settings to get the opportunity for people to really feel who Vice President Harris is. But she's not afraid to sit down with anyone. And I think she showed that very clearly during Tuesday night's debate. It wasn't even funny. I actually felt somewhat bad for former President Donald Trump.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.